Welcome to episode 34 of Tibalt's a Friend. 34!
Yeah.
You know, this should be evergreen content and the numbers shouldn't matter. But anyhow, welcome neophytes and Cenobites to Tibalt's Apprentice. Man, she hates that when I say that. But she doesn't understand. There are Cenobites in Magic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so anyhow. Where was I going with that? I'm going to start the episode this time like this. Hello, my name is Michael Mad Saxon Jones, and welcome to Tibalt's Apprentice. That's probably the least interesting thing about this episode. And the reason I bring that up, the only time it might become important is if you play Arena. Because what you're going to be looking for then is Mad Saxon with two X's, 17027. 17027. I'll flash it up on screen so people can see it. So if anybody out there thinks they can beat me at Arena, they're welcome to join and show.
You can try.
If they can, you can try. It's really not that hard to beat me and stuff. I'm actually hoping to play against people that are better than me so I can learn. The idea being that if this crusty old guy that's been playing for 25 years can learn and improve their game, anybody else can. So that's what I'm thinking.
You can teach an old dog.
You can. I hope so. We'll find out. So anyhow, that's Mad Saxon 17027. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Enrique.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right.
Glad to be back.
Glad to be back. So let's just start right first of all here with this is supposed to be Tibalt's Apprentice. So we'll start with a lab report.
Yes, all right.
So this is my research. This is what I've found over the course of the last couple of months. What I've found is the most interesting decks that I've played against. There's some similarities between that. Now, I don't want to call anybody out by name, but I'm sure these people will recognize who I'm talking about. The most interesting EDH decks that I've played recently have been players that have played Magic for less than a year.
Okay.
Have only about no more than 5 commander decks. Some of them only have maybe 2, maybe 3 commander decks.
Interesting.
And those have been the ones that I have seen most recently that were the most interesting. The biggest reactions, the biggest things that's kind of out of the blue.
No kidding.
And I'm not sure, so I think there's a few reasons for that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we've had a lot of big announcements about what's coming out in Commander for the next year.
I'm excited.
I'm not. I mean, I am. I'm excited to see what they come out with, but I'm scared.
I can understand.
Because I think
I can understand
the more meddling and the more focus that is put on Commander, because it is intended as a casual format.
Yes.
The company turning its attention towards that makes me worry that there's going to be a dollar value attached to it more than it already is.
Right.
Part of the joy for me of Commander is being able to reach all the way back throughout the history of Magic and pull out these cards that nobody else is using and putting them to good use in a deck. If we have lots of things that are pre-generated for Commander, I worry that it's going to get stale. Or, you know what I mean?
So the thing I'm worried about is that things will become more degenerate. But thankfully, because Commander is such a casual format, it's really based on your play group.
True.
You know, if you have a strong play group, they're going to let you know what you can get away with and what you shouldn't pull out.
Right.
And
right.
So for example, our play group, we have a player that's very, very, very vocal about infinite loops.
Right.
And so, hey Josh. And so, that's understandable. I tend to focus. Actually, I don't think I play any infinite loops. Just out of respect for my play group.
Or you don't focus in, you don't lean into the,
Right, I don't lean into...
sure,
into-
okay, I got you.
Right.
All right. And so, I mean, I think that's great, and I think there will be a certain amount of self-regulating, within each group. But that brings up some things. Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that when you play Commander, it can become, how do I put this? I don't want to say that it can become stale, but for lack of a better term, I'll just use that term for right now, that turn of phrase, that it can become stale without some new life being injected into it. So whether that's new players or new combination of cards, new commanders.
Right.
If you're strictly playing the pre-cons and so on, I think you get set in your ways because the decks are designed to do this certain thing or whatever, and it's easy to do that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I talked about, or I wanted to talk about, was my experience with Commander was I got into a rut. I got into that rut where I was just playing pre-constructed decks. I wasn't spending a lot of money to upgrade them. I wasn't spending a lot of time to do that, and I lost a lot. At least that's how it felt. It felt like wins came to me more out of attrition or a kingmaker play that set somebody else behind, and then suddenly I was able to go ahead. So I went online to find out how I could handle playing against an unlimited budget or against somebody that had tuned their deck beyond what was out there initially, what the initial pre-con was.
Like making it more competitive. And
Absolutely making for it. And that's how I came across budget MTG decks. And this is how I was lucky enough to have David join me for the last episode.
Great episode.
I had initially contacted him hoping to talk about the Ghoulcaller Gisa deck because that represented a turning point for me in my Commander games. Because I was able to find a deck that nobody else had, nobody else was using, and as we talked about last time when we spoke with him, those decks have already been played for anywhere from a month to 3 months of intensive testing, real-world testing in their play group. And so I came out with a deck that I liked and suited me and played well. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the upgrades that I've made to that deck. I'm not saying that they're stellar improvements. In fact, I have like a whole stack of cards here that are really crimes of opportunity. They just happen to be expensive cards that I had laying around.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a way of approaching Commander where you can get yourself into a better advantage, maybe kind of break the mold, maybe break out of those feelings if you're feeling like you're in a rut, whether it be your play group or just the decks that you have. So some of the budget things that I put in here.
Oh, yes.
So
First card.
I see you've glanced, you jumped ahead there, and you've noticed the most important artifact, of course, that could be put into any deck, any of my decks, and that's, of course, the Elixir of Immortality. Why? Because Josh. Just because it's become a signature card of mine, and it's a pet card, and it doesn't. Awesome. It arguably doesn't have any reason in there except I hear that wonderful groan of excitement when that hits the table.
Not for me. I'm always like, yeah! Awesome.
So because it is a budget thing, I feel like it can go in any deck, and in fact, it does go into any of my decks.
Every
deck, Commander or otherwise.
Oh, that's awesome.
Gisa's bidding is a sorcery that I added to this one. Now, to be fair, some of these cards didn't even exist at the time that the deck was initially done. Mm-hmm. So it's easy then to take a deck that you might look at that might be a little bit out of date or whatever, and make updates to it. In this case, you get to put two 2/2 zombie tokens on the battlefield. I have a feeling, though, that I placed this in there when I didn't really understand how Madness worked.
Oh, okay.
The Madness mechanic, and now out of because for Madness you can pay it for 3 mana, 1 black and 2 colorless. Now that the latest round Commander 2019 decks have come out, I'm a little bit more familiar with Madness and how that works. But this was a card that I felt was good, being able to put 2 zombie tokens on the battlefield. And those zombie tokens become more important with another upgrade that I made here. Deliver unto Evil. Because I'm a fan of things going into the graveyard, so I'm not a fan of Bajuka Bog.
I'm a fan of the artwork on this card.
Oh, I couldn't imagine why. Deliver unto Evil. Choose up to 4 cards in your graveyard. If you control Bolas, return those cards to your hand. Otherwise, an opponent chooses 2 of them. Leave the chosen cards in your graveyard, put the rest into your hand, and then you exile that card. It's an easy way for me to be sure and get 2 cards.
Yeah.
It's worth it. 3 mana to get 2 cards back. They're going to be something that I definitely need, whether it be a board wipe, whether it be a creature. And so many creatures, and the synergy on this deck is so well conceived that I'm definitely going to get some value out of that.
That's awesome.
And again, I'm jumping right into talking about the upgrades I've made because there's no need to go over the deck. I'll include the link to the actual budget MTG decks to actually see the initial one. But these are just the changes that I've made. I've added the enchantment Necromancer Stockpile. Being able to discard a card for 1 black and 1 colorless, to draw a card draw, always king, always important. If that was a discarded card was a zombie, I still get a zombie because I get to put a 2/2 token on the field tapped. Another enchantment, Graft Harvest. The fact that zombies I control have menace, suddenly these tokens, even though they're only 2/2, they become very important because now they can sneak through. There's also a second line of text here that for 1 black and 3 colorless, I can exile a creature from the graveyard and put a 2/2 black zombie token on the field. So just value all the way around.
Right. Menace, not the greatest form of evasion, but it's still a form of evasion.
Absolutely.
Especially when you have hordes of zombies and you only have so many
limited defenders
creatures. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's a fantastic card.
Absolutely. Another card, Curse of the Shallow Graves, enchant player. Whenever a player attacks enchanted player with 1 or more creatures, that attacking player puts a 2/2 zombie, black zombie creature onto the battlefield tapped.
Yeah.
Somebody has made me appreciate enchant player curses.
Oh yeah.
And the real value of that. Sometimes putting that on there is going to take the target off of you, simply puts it on somebody else, and definitely can have a great effect on the game.
Oh yes, I've definitely goaded other players into attacking the cursed player.
Yes.
Because we both get a benefit.
It's value.
Go for it.
Value. Absolutely. Vizier of the Scorpion. This is where those tokens suddenly become important. Because when he enters the battlefield as 1 black, 2 colorless, when he enters the battlefield, you get to amass 1. That means you're going to get that +1/+1 counter on a zombie army token.
Yeah.
But the second line of text, the zombie tokens you control have death touch. All of these other things that I put in here that generate tokens, suddenly they're death touchers.
Yeah.
Menace and death touch. Suddenly, it doesn't matter how big those blockers are. Here, I'm putting 1 point of death touch there, 1 point of death touch there, and you're on and through.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Simple cards like Shambling Ghoul, there's probably a better one I could put out there, but the 2/3 makes a little bit of a difference early in the game as far as defenders go. A Newsgraph Mob, it's kind of expensive, 4 colorless, 2 black, but when it enters the battlefield, it has 5 1/1 counters on it. Whenever a player casts a spell, remove a +1/+1 counter, and if you do, 2/2 zombie token.
Yeah, that's great.
definitely a good one. An Apprentice Necromancer is one of my other ads. Again, for 2 mana, for just 1 black and 1 colorless, you get a 1/1 creature that's a zombie wizard. Sacrifice that as the Apprentice Necromancer, and you can return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh, that's great.
Much of what I have in here
Is it a tap
also.
ability, or?
It is, yes, it is a tap
Okay,
ability. So
okay.
you've got to wait a turn to do it. But the fact that many of my zombies have EBTs and are the battlefield triggers, it makes a huge difference there. Another one, Bone Knitter. It's a 1 colorless, 1 black, and for that same cost, no tap symbol, you can regenerate target zombie.
Oh, nice.
So I don't mind letting tokens or something like that go, but if there's a zombie out there who's very important, definitely lets me keep it. It's another one that can be played at Morph. With this deck, though, there is so much going on that Morph isn't really what I go for there. And then finally, of the budget includes, I have Carrion Feeder. And that is a 1/1 that can't block, but I can sacrifice a creature to put a +1/+1 on the Carrion Feeder.
Okay.
So if something manages to slip through, whether I use a land or something else to let it get through there, or if it has menace, something that they can't block gets through, I can quickly sack it and gain something for it.
Nice.
So I don't necessarily know that I will go into all of these, because at this point it would just sound like I'm bragging about having these cards or whatever. There's nothing here of high value, but with a few simple, I mean, I don't know, when you open packs, what do you do with your rares and so on? Or do you even buy packs?
I do buy packs on occasion.
Okay.
Yeah. I tend to buy singles, but I like to support the store.
Right.
And so, yes, I definitely buy packs, and fat packs especially.
Right. And so you may wind up with some of these things laying around, and you're not necessarily going to build a deck around one card, but a lot of singles laying around, you can easily slot these into what normally would be a budget deck. So I've got things like, of course, the obvious Soul Ring.
I'm surprised you didn't have that in there already.
Well, I didn't need it. There are so many things that generate black mana in this
I see.
that it really wasn't something that ramp isn't necessarily what you need in the deck.
Right.
It usually plays with lots of small creatures and such. However, having said that, the next card is also ramp within the form of a Jet Medallion.
Medallion.
Jet Medallion, Whoop of Erebos, just plain value for this and stuff.
Lifelink?
Lucky enough to have a black market laying around, which can go in just about any deck. Phyrexian Reclamation, I'm not sure what the exact price is. I had all of this written down here somewhere, but being able to pay 1 mana to get it out, the enchantment out, to spend 1 black and 1 colorless, pay 2 life, return target card from your graveyard to your hand.
It's a good card.
Again, a cheap card, easy to get, cheap in casting cost at any rate.
Right.
And an easy one to put in this deck, obviously.
There's his legacy.
Yep. Crypt Breaker, just another zombie that discard and put a 2/2 zombie creature token onto the battlefield.
Oh, yeah.
Tap 3 untapped zombies you control, draw a card, lose life. Again, card draw. Black doesn't necessarily have the card draw, at least not in the zombie subtype or text or the flavor.
Yeah.
So card draw can become important in this. A Grave Titan, Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, put 2/2 zombie tokens on the battlefield. Again, lots of tokens.
That's a great card.
Something else that we talked about earlier when we talked about keywords and such,
Yes.
was the fact that the incarnations were important. So it's another one that not necessarily budget, but filth allows me, as long as it's in the graveyard and I have a swamp, and I've got nothing but swamps, my creatures have swamp walk.
That's just filthy.
Yes. Mordegoyf, the power and toughness equal to the number of creatures in all graveyards, so not just mine. There are, of course, a couple of sweepers in the deck, so I can wipe the board and now get a benefit from all of those. Soulless one, power and toughness equal to the number of zombies in play plus the zombies in all graveyards.
Oh my goodness.
Again, these are not necessarily budget cards, but they were good includes here. Vindictive Lich. When Vindictive Lich dies, choose one or more. Each mode is for a different player. Either a target opponent sacrifices a creature, discards 2 cards, or loses 5 life. So if you're playing with a full table, for 4 mana, this 4/1, when he goes into the graveyard, nothing but value.
Okay.
And the last one that I have here is the Undead War Chief. And of course, the fact that zombie spells cost 1 less to play, definitely good. And even better than that, zombies you control get +2, +1.
Ooh.
He himself is a zombie and starts out only a 1/1. Oh, but actually make that a 3/2.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
That's
nice.
good stuff.
Good stuff. Again, not budget. Not everybody's going to have access to it, but look around. Go through your cards and see what you might have, because again, a lot of times you open up these packs and you think, wow, what a great card. It gets set aside. What do you do? So one of the other topics that I wanted to talk to you about and kind of bounce the idea off of you and so on. And we talked a little bit about this earlier, but it's the fact that with so many people joining Magic and learning the game, coming to us through Arena, my thought is I want to get those people into Commander as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because while I love Arena, I worry that certain negative play experiences, or there's a certain curve to the game. For those of us that have played Magic for forever, a quarter of a century, we love the game. There's things that we can find that we like about it. For a new player, though, I worry about burnout and fatigue.
Yeah, I can see that being the case.
So
definitely.
So my thought, though, is, and we talked about this too, what I think of the beauty of Commander and EDH is the fact that you can draw from this huge pool of cards. But what do you do if you're a new player?
Oh, well, I mean, thankfully, you have those pre-con decks. So that's like the perfect entryway into the format is by picking up one of those decks and just playing it out of the box, making adjustments as you accumulate more cards, and you accumulate ideas for the deck.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely agree with you as far as getting new players onto, getting them to participate in Commander, not only because they can utilize older cards, but also playing Commander in, the real world, like getting a play group going. Right. Because Magic Arena, for all the benefits that it gives players, being able to test out deck ideas quickly. There's also the con of it being a very cold, dry experience.
It's a sterile environment.
Absolutely.
in many cases, and it really does come down to it's like Game of Thrones. You win or you die.
Yeah.
That's really all there is to it. This came up in a previous video when I was talking to my wife, and we talked about the fact that she asked me as I was playing, do you quit automatically when you see we can't win? And I admitted or confessed to her that I do. I've become more. I don't know I want to say more able to quit. I wouldn't for the longest time. I would make people fight it out to the very end, and I do that for the most part in real life. But in the game, like I said, I'm old and I've only got so many Magic games left in me. So I want to get on to the next one. Yeah. I want to get on to the next one where I can possibly win.
And a lot of players do that in Arena. But I've noticed.
So and in that environment, it only makes sense because again, you either win or you die. You don't have the interactions and stuff.
Right.
She continued on with a question. Then if in real life, do you let the person do what they want? And absolutely, because you've seen this and we've all experienced it. I'm sure you've probably experienced it too. That I just want to see the combo go off. Like, I know you've been waiting to do this now for 20 minutes and stuff. Let me see what you can do with these cards. I know I'm going to die anyhow. Instead of just scooping, though, I want you to go through the steps and have the satisfaction of doing that.
Oh, yeah.
On Arena, I don't care if you have that satisfaction.
Right.
I mean, I do. You know, occasionally I will. And that actually does come down to the opponent that I've played up to that point. And if it's been an interesting match, sometimes I will sit there and just like, you know what, this guy, all he has to do is attack with this creature and I'm dead. But he's been a good sport up till now. We've interacted as best we can and it's been a positive experience. So I'm just going to let him have his fun and let him cast his 8 more enchantments and, you know, 3 more instants on that creature and then smack me with it. Fine.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I wonder how you play when you do. Are you one of those people that just get out of the game and get on to the next one? Or do you just, you know, do you wait there and grind it out and make them, you know, because occasionally they will slip up. Occasionally somebody will misplay something. And with that game, with Arena, it is automated. So if you miss a trigger or something, there's no going back.
You can't go back.
If you're sitting at the table with somebody else, you can sometimes go, oh, I missed, and go back or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's very much about how you're experiencing and what you're experiencing. Not everybody has that option, though, to get a play group together or to interact with people. So I thought this past week, what I'll do is I'll make a 100-card deck. I'll make it a singleton deck. Actually, I'll do 99 cards.
Okay.
I'm going to do a pseudo commander deck.
Okay.
And play that and play test it. Can you imagine the hurdles that suddenly came up?
Yeah.
Well, one of the hurdles is, of course, that I don't have anybody else to play that with in Arena because now they're playing with an ultra-fast deck with 4 of everything that they need and stuff, so I don't have that option. It brings up the idea of card pool.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a hurdle for a new player getting into the game, short of buying just a straight commander deck, buying something out of the box, that they're going to have, that unless you do get a play group and somebody willing to hand you cards or buy cards, trade cards, you're going to be limited in what you can do. And so that's why if anybody is interested in that, again, I'm going to keep going back every time to budget MTG decks. But that's a great way to get a deck you know is going to work or has had some potential or has potential or has been tuned, that you can get a budget deck. You can spend, in many cases, less than maybe $50 even to get a deck that's actually going to work and compete. Now, it's not ultra competitive, but it is going to be able to keep up with the majority of the precons and such that are out there and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, anyhow, I guess that's our discussion for this time on Tibalt's Apprentice. Do want to talk a little bit, though, about things coming up and stuff. At this point, we are, or I am, streaming on Mondays. I do a little bit of streaming on Mondays and stuff. I'm still new to Twitch and getting that done. So I am, however, always up for a challenge on Arena. So again, it's Mad Saxon with 2 X's, and that number after it is 17027. All challenges welcome. So if I'll actually include a link in the show notes here below, and you can always instant message me or whatever, and we can play a game. Right. You and I have played that way. I wish it was easier to challenge people or whatever, but you've kind of got to make sure the other person is online and they're on there with you.
I wish there was a friends list.
A friends list would be great. Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Magic Online has that. I know you could easily do that, but a friends list would be nice. But in the meantime, you can always find, like I said, you can almost always find me online at odd hours or whatever playing. I play way too much, way too much Magic. But
never enough.
Never enough, absolutely. At any rate, thanks for watching. Most importantly, I'm going to say, leave a comment. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things too. Click the notification bell. But leave a comment. More than anything, I want us to join or form or want a community. I want people to interact and to hear other people's advice. If there's anything that we've said you don't agree with, leave that down below. If there's things that you'd like to hear us talk about, leave that also down below.
Also, leave your best deck ideas in the comment section too.
Absolutely.
And best combinations.
Yes.
Yes.
That would also be very much appreciated. So also then, if you're in the Manhattan Beach area here in California, stop into Game Hub.
Yes.
And you can play us. You can find us here on Monday nights. Every other Wednesday is what I'm going for. I'm actually trying to show up at the Game Chest in Delamo.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So they have a casual Magic night on Wednesdays, and I'm trying to show up there every other weekend and stuff. I think I'm going to try to do it this Wednesday. So you're welcome to show up there and play against me. Show me what you've got. Show me the best combination of cards that you have. And I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah. My pleasure being here.